The first great Cincinnati Parks superintendent, Adolph Strauch.
Adolph Strauch was a Prussian landscape architect. He studied in Vienna and other places around Europe and was working at the Great Exposition in London when he met Robert Bonner Bowler. They chatted it up for a while. He said, hey, if you're ever in the United States, stop and visit me. Well, Strauch did come to the United States. He had a delay in his train schedule in Cincinnati, decided he'd visit Bowler, and got the Mount Storm estate, and never ended up going back to Europe. Bowler hired him to manage the estate.
He started getting other jobs here in Clifton, the Neff estate, the Buchanan estate, Probasco. He probably did virtually every single estate in Clifton. He would open up the scenery, he would take down fences, he would take down tree lines that blocked views. If your barn he considered ugly, he would come to you and say, you know, your barn is a blight on the landscape, and I'm educated in these things. I have the taste to tell you this, and you have to tear it down. And most of the time, people complied.
He became superintendent of Spring Grove Cemetery and brought a whole new idea of how to do cemeteries. Before, everything was divided up into little square lots with fences around it, and you put whatever kind of shtick you wanted into it. He tore down the fences, and he's the reason that Spring Grove Cemetery is as gorgeous as it is now.
People used cemeteries in much the same way we might think of parks, as places to go for walks, picnic areas, and that sort of landscaped outdoor space became a kind of visual model for what a park should be like. It also became a legislative model, because when the state of Ohio first creates legislation allowing cities to have parks, they base that on the legislation for cemeteries.
Under Strauch's supervision, Spring Grove became an internationally renowned landscape gardening site.
There's a wonderful quote from Frederick Olmsted, the designer of New York's Central Park, saying that when he needed inspiration, when he was just stumped and didn't have any ideas, he would come to Cincinnati and visit Spring Grove Cemetery and walk through it with Adolph Strauch.
Well, heck, you can't let a guy like that get away. He got hired to become superintendent of Cincinnati Parks, and he brought that same kind of landscape vision to the parks. He brought in this idea of vistas, groves of trees that would guide people's visions to a beautiful site, a focal point. So we have him to thank for a lot of the beauty that you find in Burnet Woods, in Eden Park. That's who he was. He was the first big visionary who turned us into a gorgeous system.